Welcome back, my good fellas, to more Summoner, where we find ourselves in Lenele. Where else? After escaping the raid on Mossad by the Iranians. Now we're here to find Lord Yargo. But word of warning. We will not be delving into story progression in this episode. In fact, this episode and possibly the next one will be touching up on exploration, as well as side quests, and much lore as well. There's a heck of a lot of lore around Lenele. Yeah, I won't be going around talking to everyone on site. In the PlayStation 2 version, I believe this fella starts running around and falls to the floor. Not so much on the PC version, however. It seems a lot more calm about it. A lot more calm. Anyway, that aside, let us progress. But yeah, there's a heck of a lot of side quests to pick up. A fair bit of lore to come across. As well as quite a huge city to explore. So these next two episodes will be focusing all on that stuff. There won't no story progression here. Best to neatly have everything tied together. Some press gangs. Possibly enlisting this fellow into the king's army. Yes, Medivh is under attack by Iranian forces. So they're probably looking to get everyone that they can into the army. Not a very nice time to be around. This fella here. Mr. Durgan. Your lucky charm, my good sir. Well, that's quite the predicament. We will be looking for this Ivus, the gambler. Yeah, if the lucky charm, or if anything, is so precious to you, why would you ever gamble it and put it on the line? If it really means that much to you. There's little rats there. Very nice. Also, I'm very aware that every time I talk, or a lot of times when I talk, I take like a deep breath. Yeah, I'm very well aware of that. It annoys me probably just as much as it annoys you. Another little fella there. Looking over the pier with me, my good sir. Yeah, I do want to show off the city. As I said, I will dedicate these two upcoming episodes here for exploration, for some lore. And as I said, plenty of side quests. So you will not be missing, well, any story if you decide to skip these ones. Some items to obtain as well. Yeah, as I said at the end of the last episode, Lenele is very well designed as well as very well populated. There must be quite a load of people being rendered all at once. Sirs. Alright. Sure. You can actually squeeze by them if you wish. We won't do so, we don't need to. I believe these are a couple of Iranians. Also, a weird sheen effect going on there. Drago has a clever plan. Then why would you tell me? Some people, I swear. Probably our first weapon trader here. There's some pretty cool stuff here. The sledgehammer's one of them. Maybe the war club. This crossbow, however, probably the best thing to invest your gold into at this stage. I don't have the funds right now, but I will be sure to pick one of those up. Icicle Ruin, always welcome. That'd be another Iranian, I believe. Oh, I cannot get under the stall there. That's a shame. Some interesting fellas over here. Let's see what they're all about, shall we? Crazy Ivan. I think one of us is crazy, and I'm hoping it's you, sir. It seems like he's a little drunk. He's been on the bottle for sure. My fella, could you help me out with this a little bit? I just had the oddest talk. Yeah, talking to him, however, you do get a side quest when you engage in conversation. You would have seen it come up the top there. I'll talk a little more on that in a sec. Let's just see what this fella's all about first. Mr. Belon. A bag of magical seeds. And they will sprout anywhere, even on solid rock. Pretty cool seeds then. What do you want me to do, my good sir? The stronghold of Sunavar. Sure, I'll accept. I'll accept. Giving some random stranger a delivery, however, probably not the wisest thing in the world. Also, this definitely does not look like a bag of seeds. It most certainly looks like a bottle. Or a vial, whatever. They're very stylish though, very nice design. Anyway, going back to Crazy Ivan here. The side quest you get from him actually opens up a little thing. Let's go and investigate that fish. He did give us a little hint at the end of his dialogue, where he mentioned fish. Joseph. And upon examining, we do get a fiery falchion. A pretty nice sword, actually. A fireball, which will deal AoE damage. It's an area of effect. So you can take damage from it yourself, but it's actually pretty viable, honestly. I'll definitely keep hold of that for a while. Very nice. But yeah, every time I talk, I seem to do this tutting sound. You'll have to forgive me on that. I'm very aware, very self-conscious that I do that. Maybe I'm trying to be a little too noble. Another trader here. Some very interesting potions there. And some gemstones. If you're wondering what gemstones do, or at least what purpose they serve, absolutely nothing. They don't do a single thing, and no one in the game ever wants them. What you can do with them, however, is sell them. And actually selling gemstones is probably the best way to gain gold, especially for early game. Also another fella here. What would your business be? You're being troubled by a band of robbers. Tell me more. So you're an expensive rice merchant, are you? Well, it seems like you sell all sorts of things here. What to you want me to do? Is that a typo there? Volition? I believe it should be, what do you want me to do? And this fellow wants us to hunt down this robber band and take the bow the leader as proof that we've defeated them. Sure, we'll look into it. Well, let's go into the city proper. Yeah, that song that's playing, probably get used to it. You'll be hearing it pretty often. And it does have a very distinct start when it comes to this song. Kind of memorable, actually. It is one of my favourite songs from Summoner. Some business going on over there. Yeah, I do love Summoner's soundtrack, honestly. This would be far from my favourite, but it's definitely one of the top for me. There should be an item around here. There it is. Just a bit of gold. Excuse me, sirs. I'm keeping my eyes on you, fellas. Let's get away from them, shall we? Woo. Yeah, that fella stands out, doesn't he? Actually, if you get close enough to him, you will be pulled automatically into conversation. Jakar. Yeah, Jakar here. Jakar. Actually originally lived in Siran. That was his village, as well as Joseph's. So they're more than familiar with each other. Jakar's not incredibly happy with Joseph's presence right now. I mean, it might have something to do with a certain demon and a certain summoning. Yes, Jakar most likely lost friends and family during the devastation of Siran. It was the demon that destroyed it, not I. Yes, we are somewhat responsible, however. He does give us a little insight to Yargo and his whereabouts, however. Yeah, and apparently they call him Lord Yargo these days, despite him being a beggar back in the days of old. Apparently he now lives in the royal palace as a prince's counsellor. Very nice, very fancy. How we got into that position may be explained later on. Yes, Jakar and Joseph are long-time friends, actually. Well, they're probably not exactly friends now, but at one point they were. Yeah, there's definitely a whole bunch of dialogue to be found in Lenele. Volition, again, probably put a lot of time... Well, they definitely did put a lot of time and care into the development of Summoner. And yes, we have got another item in here. Nothing like a healing draught. I mean, these guys are probably talking about booze anyway, so I might take some of that bottled, sirs. Wolves and crows. Very stylish animals. Very fancy. This way would lead on to the Crown District, the more richer sections of Lenele. We don't need to go there just yet. Another trader. Let's see what he's got, shall we? Probably the most basic equipment you can come across, actually, but if not the weakest. If you do need him, he does sell. He's willing to trade. I'll leave him to it. A couple of hens as well, very nice. They even got sound applied to them, connected to their rendering there. Very nice. Someone's baby going at it. Ooh. Another merchant. Joseph, you didn't need to walk around the whole fucking stall. You could have just spoken to her from the other side. Whew. A nice ring for skill there. Haven't got the gold, unfortunately. By the way, here's a problem with the PC version. There's actually one thing that the PlayStation 2 version does better. And that there's no item quantity when you're buying and selling. In the PS2 version there will be a item quantity of how much of an item you have. Not so much in the PC version. Why Volition left out that feature when porting it over, I honestly couldn't say. It would have been useful, honestly. At least, what kind of problems could they have run into implementing that? Yeah, there's quite a lot of business going on in Lenele these days. Oh, another Iranian here. Yeah, unfortunately the Iranians are being treated... Well, I don't know if second-class citizens is the correct term, but they're not being treated very nicely. Unfortunately, there's a lot of prejudice arising since Emperor Murad has sent his forces into Medivh and to ransack the whole kingdom while he's at it. All to look for Joseph. Also, a nice assortment of scrolls. I will buy a couple of those. They'll be handy very soon. Each thing would be a different level. Some of them have more of the spell. I believe scrolls is supposed to be the next level up, and then you've got tablets, and the book holds an assortment. A pro tip here is to only worry about buying runes. Don't worry about buying the rest. Now, the reason for this is, while these are supposed to be at higher levels, there's a bit of a mishap in the table files that define the spells, and the scrolls, and what level they're at. Volition in their infinite wisdom added an extra value to them, which causes them all to be at the same level. Also, that person just fucking disappeared in front of me. Oh, there she is. Have I been on the bottle? Have I been drinking? What was I even saying? Anyway. So yeah, Volition added an extra value to the item data for scrolls. And I believe some of the potions too. I know the scrolls definitely. So every scroll is level 1, I believe. They're supposed to be like level 1, level 5, 10 or whatever. But they're all at level 1 due to that mishap. So just buy the runes. You're wasting your money otherwise. And yes, we find ourselves in the old city of Lenele. At the slums, if you will. Looking pretty grimy. And probably not smelling very nice either. Some nice high leather boots here, I wouldn't mind. Very nice. A bit of a spoiler to some other characters. I don't really have much gold on hand, sir. I definitely will be looking to buy when I do. There's great ambience here, though. I don't mean to walk in your way, sir. I like how he's stretching his back there. Yeah, as I was saying earlier, the Renins are not being treated very nicely these days. The level of hospitality for them is definitely depleted. Unfortunately, some of them are falling victim to angry mobs, just as that lady back in the marketplace was saying. An Iranian that lived in this house, well, saw his house burnt to the ground. These fellas here happen to be friends of that Iranian, and they're kind of worried about his whereabouts. We'll be on the lookout for him though, and let him know where he's at, if we do find out. Interesting fella here, another beggar, with no eyes, sir. My condolences. May I ask, however, how do you actually lose those eyes? Woo! What kind of apothecary is this? Just walks up, finds an old beggar, and we don't need to get into the details, but I'll be having words with him. Yes, we will be talking to that fella. The people in Lenele, though. You dropped your doll down the well. I'd like to know how you managed that, but sure. Yeah, according to this fella here, his daughter. I don't know if he's implying that she's susceptible to illnesses and stuff, but the doll apparently is a magical doll. It apparently cures diseases and stuff. A pretty valuable doll to have then, if it can do that. I personally wouldn't mind one like that. So, I don't believe that's the proper way of playing a lute. Yes, that's the proper way of playing a lute. Took him a moment there, didn't it? A Gamardi. Yeah, the Gamardi are, in a way, nomads in Summoner. Cities of Glass. All had wings. Yeah, so, the Sedani are the humans of the world of Summoner. Apparently, they originally were winged fellas. Back in the days when their god, Uraf, was around, before he was murdered. And apparently when Uraf did get murdered, the Sedani stopped being winged fellas for some reason. And the cities of Glass apparently shattered as well. I don't understand how the cities were being kept by... I guess it is a magical world. We will be learning a lot more about this with all the gods and ancient past. Pretty much in the next episode, actually, we'll be covering that. We will be going to the temple. We'll find out a lot about the functions of the world, shall we say. So the Gamardi are basically nomads that remember their ancient past. Sure, fair enough. The Sea of Stars. Apparently these I forget if the Sea of Stars... I believe it refers to the shattered glass parts of the old cities of ancient Sidani, which apparently makes up the stars in the sky. Offer to buy it. What a peculiar dialogue choice. Joseph, why would you want to buy a shard of glass? What use would you have for that, fella? Well, she is willing to make a trade with us if we can find 3 shards of glass from the ancient Sidani cities. She'll offer us a special reward in trade for it. A treasure only the Gamardi know how to make. Well, we'll be on the lookout for those. I'll be looking forward to that. You wouldn't happen to be the apothecary I've heard so much about? About those beggars' eyes. Yeah, I'm sure the potion is magnificent. But going around plucking people's eyes is a bad habit. I would not recommend. Well, he will actually hand them over to us in exchange for the tongue from a fire salamanca. Sir, that is no better than pluck out eyes. I'm just saying, even if it is a monster. So he wants us to do heinous acts in order to get these eyes. I'm only doing this for the beggar, because that is very fucked up. Otherwise, I do not recommend going around acquiring tongues from poor little creatures. Absolute asinine behaviour. Yeah, suggestion about, well, alluding to the press gangs there, of how they walk up to beggars and enlist them into the army. Very horrible times. Also, a very cosy little shop you got here, sir. Very, very cosy, very nice. A bit run down, sure, but that adds to the aesthetics. It does sell some very nice stuff, actually. Unfortunately, again, very low on cash. No, nothing to sell either. Also, sir, may I ask, why do you have a dagger or knife of some persuasion stuck in your wall? That's probably not good for your blade nor the wall. I'm just saying. Yeah, apparently they're selling saddles there too. Very, very, very well populated, I must say. Looks like a pillory of some sort here. Possibly a prison of the sorts. A prison known as the Keep. Even a few Iranians, you say, sir? You wouldn't happen to have a certain Iranian by the name of Jingyan, by any chance, would you? Oh, you're more than aware of him. Well, apparently Jingyan is indeed in the keep here, but he's not willing to give him his freedom. At least not without a release order. Well, we shall see about a way of getting one of those. Yeah, I'm sure a beggar is more concerned with their bellies than they are with the law. Here's 20 gold, my good sir. Have a nice day as much as you possibly can. We'll leave him to it. Nice little kitty here. Ooh. Very nice. Not bad animation, actually. Pretty nice. Oh, you okay there, sir? I can't entirely confirm this, but I believe the particles here are actually considered a player, an actor, rather than just a simple animation. I was looking for the game files, and I've done a lot of poking at the game files, and the bit of debris that you see floating around, I believe it's actually classed as a character, which is a very fancy way of adding in animated debris and stuff. Interesting choice on Volition's part. I could be wrong on that though. I definitely have to poke around the files once again. I'm hearing some very fancy music, by the way. Ah, Ivers the Gambler. You wouldn't happen to have a lucky charm by any chance? Powerful. Yes, indeed you do, Joseph. Indeed you do. You already sold it to the pawnbroker? Alright, we'll be seeing him shortly. Another little kitty. A dirk is a type of dagger, by the way. Dice game. I wonder if they're talking about Farkle by any chance. A very cool dice game, actually. I believe Farkle dates back a fair few centuries, if I'm not mistaken. Also, this would be a grate to the sewers. Let's have a look down there, shall we? It does have a bottom to it. Very, very nice. Also, this fella here, I will not be doing his side quest. It involves doing some heinous acts against some creatures. Beside, to be specific. We do not do such things around here, sir. I am the tailed one after all. Very nice. Oh, 3 kitties, damn. Ooh, what do you call a group of kittens? Well, a group of cats. We'll leave them to it. More press gangs. Hardly surprising. Old man, jeez, they've been getting old people into the army. Whew. I believe they walk him to the keep. Probably to get enlisted into the army. Ooh. Against their own will. Ah, Mr. Pedrog. Oh, one of Tancred's, huh? Tancred is pretty much a crime boss of the black market, or the criminal underworld of Lenele. We might be seeing him eventually. And apparently some smugglers, not connected with Tancred, have been working under Tancred's noses and running their own smuggling ring. Black market, if you will. A black market competing with a black market. Well, we can't have any of that now, can we, if we're Tancred? Yes, we will be helping you out, my good fella. We'll see about looking into investigating that. Iranian shopkeep. Iranian goods being scarce in Lenele, yeah. I'm assuming that definitely would have something to do with the war going on. and the rise in prejudice. Also, when you see an item in blue, that just means that it's unidentified. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to examine unidentified items. A character will have an appraise skill. We cannot appraise them while they're in the shop's inventory, however. That's actually animated. Very nice. Very unnecessary, but nice attention to detail to animate something like that. These two gods here. Now, they're not there by random chance. Here's a little bit of development lore, if you will. So, back in early development, Volition actually planned on having a bridge that will connect the old city here to the marketplace. Also, hey there, Kitty, how you doing? So there would have been a bridge here and it would have connected to the marketplace. There would have been an extra couple of islands as well. And these guards here are pretty much the remnants of this bridge. They would have been guarding it, but the bridge itself never made it into the final game. So the guards are still there guarding, well, a bridge that does not exist. But yeah, if you're curious on why there's just two random guards standing there, that is why. Ooh, oh, lamb curry in there. Ooh, is that a madras? I bet. Ooh, Duntap maybe. They're having a good time in there, I can tell you. Very exotic music too. Ooh. We're leaving to it. Good beats. Oh, there's a vagabond being dragged off to the keep to be enlisted. Ooh, very dark times. Do I have a pathway up here that leads to a very interesting shop merchant? Let's see why. My good fella. Again, a very cozy shop you got here. He sells health tonics. He's the only merchant that sells health tonics in this stage of the game. Health tonics being the most powerful healing item that you can obtain at this point in the game. There are stronger ones, but this is the strongest one at this point, so pretty pricey. But if you want the best, this is a shop to go to. Unfortunately, we definitely do not have the funds. Also, I believe this is called a mortar pestle, I believe. Used for grinding up herbs and ingredients. Got a dish here as well. It definitely looks like he makes his own potions. He's got all the tools there to make his own potions anyway. Probably has a cauldron in the back room. Here's that debris again. Again, I believe that this is actually a character. It's a very interesting way of adding debris into the world, into the slums. Don't know what they're burning there. Got some rats around here. There's a kitty over here. I'm not chasing the rats though. Maybe they've already done some hunting. A fella down here, we'll have to check him out later. Probably not in this episode, actually. It's not entirely necessary. So, you're just going to stand there, or you're going to do something to put it out? It's dangerously close to this cloth material. I don't think he cares. Not a lot of care seems going to the old city, apparently. Yeah, it seems that they've gone through some plagues in this world. Hardly surprising. A coffin maker. Also, another fire that's pretty unsafe, sir. I know that you're a god, but surely you should be responsible for dealing with that. Let's head over this direction. We won't be talking to that fella just yet. Save it for a later episode. This fella here, though. A forger? You wouldn't be able to make me a quick release order by any chance? Sure, here's a gold. Now be sure to mention a name before hitting farewell, just to finish the transaction. Otherwise you'd have to pay him again. Sir, walking in between us is not the most polite thing you could possibly do. Just saying. Some people. A forged document, though. Very, very nice. Very well textured, actually, that piece of paper. So we do have the forged documents here. Before we hand it in, I'm going to let the fellas know where Mr. Jingyan is. He is being kept in the keep. Yeah, as I said, very nice ambience they got in Lenele, especially in the old city. Mr. Jingyan is in the keep. Yeah, I believe he's being kept here for his own safety. Probably, I mean, in some way it's kind of considerate to offer protection of some sorts for the Iranians. At the same time, having your freedom stripped from you, still not a great outcome. Ah, the pawnbroker. You wouldn't happen to have an earring that the gambler sold you? You've already had it sold to someone else. I should have known. Yeah, we'll find the next fella in the marketplace for that quest. And moving back to the pillory here. Fella, I have this release order. I know it's a little bit far-fetched that I have it all of a sudden, but I assure you it is genuine. Here's 20 gold if you're not convinced.
I grow powerful.
Yes, indeed you do, Joseph. Indeed you do. He's willing to give him his freedom, albeit when the day turns to night. Well, let's let his friends know that we've secured his freedom. Oh, that kitty there. Oh. Didn't know which way it wanted to go. I'm sure it's having a fine day. Yes, Jingyan will be released tonight, when the sun sets. Now you can lie if you wish. However, I will be honest with him. He seems pretty content with that, regardless. I shall not lie. But yes, he will be freed. And with that sorted, we're pretty much done for now in the old city. So let's head back to the marketplace. Next, we're probably going to want to head over in this direction. I'm going to call it an episode here, however. As I said, these next 2 episodes coming up will be focusing on side content. No story progression here. So with that, I will quickly wrap this one up, and then we can get on to the next one. So I'll catch you then.